Alright, guys, we reached the semifinals of the Halle Open, but before that, let us talk a little bit about the finals in Stuttgart and the other place in the Netherlands with the name that is impossible to pronounce. Taylor Fritz and Gabriel Diallo were the champions in Stuttgart and the Netherlands, respectively, just as I predicted. Fritz, who has now won five times in a row against Zverev, I believe. He won in straight sets. I said that it would be 3 sets, but it was straight sets, although it could have easily gone 3. The second set went to a tiebreak. On grass, tiebreaks are very common because it is a very fast surface. Low bounces, difficult to break serves. Fritz actually dominated that tiebreak. It was like 7-1 or something like that, but you never know. Had a few points gone differently, Zverev could have easily taken that set. But Fritz was a champion, and Diallo, he defeated Bergs in straight sets. There was also a tiebreak in the second set, I believe. That one definitely could have gone to a deciding set. I believe that Bergs had a set point in that tiebreak, and I think he double faulted or just missed some routine shot, something like that. So that easily could have gone 3. But Diallo still won, like I predicted. So Diallo won the first title of his career in that match, which was a battle to see who would win the first title of their career. Diallo was the champion in that regard, so congratulations to him. And now there are tournaments going on in Halle in Germany and in Queen's Club in London. These are more warm-up tournaments for Wimbledon. Alcaraz and Sinner are playing, or were playing in Sinner's case, because he was actually defeated in a shocking upset against Alexander Bublik in the second round of Halle. But Alcaraz and Sinner entered into different tournaments. Sinner entered into Halle, where he was the defending champion, and Alcaraz entered into Queen's Club, where he was the 2023 champion. So they actually entered different tournaments in hopes of getting an easy win instead of facing each other in a final again. After the 5.5-hour French Open final, they probably said, nah, let's go into different tournaments for this week so we don't have some other 3-hour match or something. Give that a rest for a little bit before possibly meeting in maybe the Wimbledon final, perhaps. But Sinner didn't reach the final of Halle anyway, because as I just said, he was knocked out in the second round by Bublik. This was a shock. Basically, any match that Sinner would lose at this point to someone other than Alcaraz would be a shock, because he had not lost to a player not named Carlos Alcaraz in almost a year. The last time that he lost to a player who was not named Carlos Alcaraz was last year in August against Andrei Rublev in, I think it was Montreal. And that was one of maybe only 2 days in that entire year where I said, I think that looking at this match, I think Sinner had an off day. I think he had about 2 off days in the entire year last year, and one of those was against Rublev in Montreal, where he looked out of sorts, and the other was against Medvedev in Wimbledon, where he was just missing his forehand over and over. Those were the 2 matches that I saw where I said Sinner actually had an off day. But maybe he had more off days, but he actually just still won on his off days anyway, because you can still have an off day and win. Actually, that is especially common for top players and multi-Grand Slam champions, where they will have an off day and they will still win. That is part of being a champion, is still winning even when you are not at your best. So Sinner actually probably had a few more off days last year, but those were the 2 off days where he actually lost the match. So, the first time in about a year that Sinner has lost to someone other than Alcaraz, and this is the first time in almost 2 years that Sinner has lost to someone outside of the top 20. Actually, it says Sinner had a streak of 66 consecutive wins against players ranked against outside of the top 20. The last time he lost against a player who was outside of the top 20 was in the 2023 Cincinnati Open, when he lost to Dusan Lajovic. And that was after Sinner won his first Masters 1000 title in Toronto, I believe. He lost right away in Cincinnati. That was before Sinner became a consistency beast, of course, in 2024. And apparently Sinner also lost a streak of 17 consecutive quarterfinals. So Bublik has gotten the biggest win of his career. You really have to love the different surfaces in tennis, because last week or a couple weeks ago, Bublik was just absolutely destroyed by Sinner in the quarterfinals of the French Open, which, as we all know, was on clay. And now, in this small grass court tournament, this lightning-fast court in Halle, Bublik has been able to defeat Sinner in 3 sets. So you really have to love the fact that we have wildly different surfaces in tennis that can completely change the results based on a certain player's style. Because some players like faster courts, Bublik is definitely one of them, and some players like slower courts. Not necessarily Sinner, but Sinner will have much more advantages on slower courts like clay against Bublik than on grass, where Bublik is probably the most dangerous ever on grass. He is just a nightmare to play on grass with his low shots, his flat shots. When he gets hot and he just rips the ball. He also likes to come to the net a lot, which is effective on grass. He is pretty good at the net. I think he has reached a doubles final in a Grand Slam. He also likes to do a lot of slices and drop shots, and that is just super annoying for anybody to deal with on grass. So Bublik is a player that nobody really wants to face on grass. We saw in 2023, he actually won Halle in 2023, I believe, defeating Rublev in the final. And I think he also beat Sinner in that run. Sinner retired after losing the first set, but that is still, I guess, a bit of a coincidence. So Bublik has now defeated Sinner at Halle 2 times in his career. But this is a much bigger win than 2 years ago, because Sinner is completely different player after the start of 2024, as we all know. And now Sinner is the world number 1. So this is Bublik's biggest win of his career by far. Not to mention Sinner's streaks that we just mentioned. So yeah, also in 2023 we saw Bublik reach the 4th round of Wimbledon, where he lost to Rublev in 5 sets. So no one wants to see Bublik in their draw at Wimbledon. He is going to be a very extremely dangerous floater. He is not going to be seeded at Wimbledon. I don't think that's possible, unless he maybe plays one of the smaller tournaments next week and wins. But I don't think he's going to do that. I don't think he might not even enter one of those tournaments. Probably just rest for Wimbledon, now that he is already in the semifinals in Halle here. So no one is going to want to see Bublik in their path. But do I think that Bublik will be able to take out Sinner in Wimbledon? No. I think best of 5 is still a different story. But it is still the case that nobody will want to see Bublik in their draw at Wimbledon, especially after seeing this performance against Sinner. So now let's get into predicting the semifinals in Halle. And we'll start with the semifinal from the bottom half of the draw that will be played first tomorrow, which is the 2nd seed Alexander Zverev, the home favorite, taking on the 3rd seed Daniil Medvedev. So this is actually a very tricky and interesting semifinal to predict, for me at least, and probably for other people as well. These two players have faced a lot of times, 19 times. Medvedev leads the head-to-head 12-7. They faced a lot of times in 2023, especially. They faced 6 or 7 times in 2023, something like that. But they have actually not faced since the 2024 Australian Open semifinal, a match where Medvedev won after losing the first 2 sets, and he made a remarkable comeback. And there was notably a lucky shot that he had in a tiebreak in, I think, the 4th set. That was really funny to watch, but he still earned his comeback victory. And that was on his way where he went to the final against Yannick Sinner, and also, as we all know, went up 2-0 and lost again, just like he did in the 2022 final against Rafael Nadal. So that was in the Australian Open run where Medvedev spent about 24 hours on court. He had like 4 or 5 set matches or something like that, and he just ran out of energy at the end, unfortunately, which is maybe the only time that Medvedev has actually run out of energy, because Medvedev's stamina is pretty insane. The only person who has better stamina than Medvedev, he's sometimes looks tired, but not actually that much. He will breathe a little bit, but he still runs for everything. The only person that maybe has better stamina than Medvedev is Alcaraz. I have never seen Alcaraz look tired a single time in my life. I have never seen him look tired in any match that he has played at all. I'm being serious. I have never once seen Alcaraz look tired. So he is most definitely on something. But anyway, he probably has the best stamina on the tour. His stamina is pretty limitless, something that I first realized in the 2022 US Open, when he was just playing 5-set matches over and over 3 times in a row, and he'd never look tired. As I said, I was watching this and I was like, this kid is never runs out of energy. I'm seeing that now. He has just played 3 5-set matches in a row and he looks completely fine. He looks like he could play for 5 more hours. And that it was in that tournament when I realized this kid will never run out of energy. He just has limitless stamina. So, but anyway, yeah, Medvedev and Zverev have not faced each other in more than a year. And Medvedev has been the one who has been owning this matchup more. He has won 6 out of the last 7 matches they have played, and I think 10 out of the last 12 or something like that. This rivalry actually started off with Zverev winning 4 times in a row from 2016 to 2018, and since then Medvedev started winning. Medvedev won 12 out of the next 15 matches or something like that. So since 2019, Medvedev has owned Zverev. However, let me check to see if they have ever faced each other on grass. They have not faced each other on grass, so this will be the first meeting of the two on this surface. So, like I just said, Medvedev has owned Zverev in this matchup since 2019. Zverev, however, Medvedev has not won a title in over 2 years. The last time he won a title was Rome 2023. And he has also not reached a final in over a year. The last time he reached a final was Indian Wells 2024. So the reason why this is difficult is because, on the one hand, this head-to-head is telling me that Medvedev owns Zverev, so he should win. But on the other hand, Medvedev has not reached a final of a tournament in over a year. The last time he has been in the last semifinals he has been in, he has lost them in straight sets, and he has not won a title in over 2 years. So I'm getting contradictory information on how to make my prediction here, if you get what I mean. But turning to the stats, Medvedev just defeated Mickelson in straight sets. Medvedev has actually not lost a set this tournament in his 3 matches, and he has not even been taken to a tiebreak, which on grass is actually pretty impressive. So looking at his stats against Mickelson, he served 66% first serves in. He hit 19 winners and 25 unforced errors. So I think this was a solid performance from Medvedev, not more than so. Even though, like I just said, he has not dropped a set and not gone to a tiebreak. judging from this last performance at least, I think he is only playing solidly. I don't think this is Medvedev at his peak. Zverev, on the other hand, served 80% first serves in against Kaboli, whom he defeated in straight sets. Hit 22 winners and 21 unforced errors. So I do think that Zverev is peaking in this tournament, which is a bit funny to say given that he actually almost lost, I should say, or had a very close match against Sonego in his previous match, which he won 7-6 in the third. But even in that match, Zverev served something like 90% first serves in, I believe. It was like some absurdly high number like that against Sonego. He served 90% first serves in. And he hit 35 winners and 18 unforced errors. So he did 17 more winners than unforced errors. So Zverev was still peaking in that match. That was actually just an extremely high-level match. Sonego himself served 76% first serves, 26 winners, and 21 unforced errors. So even though that was extremely close, Zverev was still peaking in that match. It was just that Sonego was peaking as well. That's why it was so close. So this is one of those examples where you can't just look at the scores and say Medvedev has not lost a set and not gone to a tiebreak, therefore he is playing better than Zverev. No, I don't think that is the case, actually. I think that Zverev is actually playing better than Medvedev, despite having closer sets and closer matches, judging by the stats. So, based on that, it is still not easy to predict who will win this because of the lopsided head-to-head, especially since 2019. But I am going to make my prediction based on who I believe is in better form in this tournament, and that player I believe is Zverev. And if there is a time, Zverev has defeated Medvedev in 2023 Cincinnati, which was on a hard court, but that is generally one of the faster hard courts, I believe. So, okay, well, someone is probably going to fact check me and be like, "Oh, actually, that's slow." Who? I can't even. Honestly, it seems like all the court speeds just change over and over. So, who knows at this point? But Zverev has defeated Medvedev 2023 Cincinnati. That was the last time he defeated him. He has defeated him 7 times. So it is not like he is incapable of defeating him. And even though he has lost the last 10 out of 12, the last 12 out of 15 matches and stuff like that, a lot of these matches have actually been close. If you look at them, a lot of these matches were actually close. Take the Australian Open semifinal, which was the last match that they contested. Zverev was up 2-0, and then he lost the next 3 sets, 7-6, 7-6, 6-3. So Zverev absolutely could have won that match. Then the match before that, 2023 ATP Finals, 7-6, 6-4. That is a close match as well, 2 competitive sets. Then before that, Beijing 2023, 6-4, 6-3 Medvedev. That is a bit more of a routine win. And then before that was a Cincinnati match that Zverev won. So it is not like Zverev is super far away and cannot defeat Medvedev. He absolutely can. So I think that if there was a time for him to get another win, it would be right now, where Medvedev has been struggling for over a year, and Zverev is in better form in this tournament. I think this will be a great chance for Zverev to get another win against Medvedev. And I am also basing this off of the last time that I predicted Medvedev to win a semifinal was earlier this year in that small tournament in France somewhere. And he got completely destroyed against Medjedovic. And then that is when I said Medvedev is completely finished. And I think I said something like, I'm not going to predict him to win a semifinal again until he shows me that he can do that. So I'm going to stick by that, whatever I said, and I'm going to say that Zverev will win this match in straight sets. But this will certainly be interesting to watch, based on the fact that these players have such a long history. and now the circumstances are a bit different. So, the second semifinal from the top half of the draw is the 8th seed Karen Khachanov taking on the Kazakh Alexander Bublik, whom, as I have already said, just defeated Yannick Sinner in the shock of the tournament. This match is actually another difficult match to predict, in my opinion. I don't think it is as easy as some people probably think it is. I think that most people will probably pick Bublik to win, which is definitely reasonable considering that he just beat Sinner and he is also peaking. But I don't think that this match is actually so easy to predict as just looking at that and saying Bublik will certainly win and he will destroy Khachanov. I think that this match can actually be competitive. Yes, Bublik is peaking. He just defeated Mahach to back up his win against Sinner. He defeated Mahach in straight sets. 72% first serves in, 36 winners and 19 unforced errors. So he did 17 more winners and unforced errors. So he's definitely peaking, no doubt about that. But Khachanov, while he is not peaking, he's still playing solid tennis. He served 57% first serves in, hit 21 winners and 13 unforced errors. So he did 8 more winners and unforced errors. So I think that Khachanov can actually challenge Bublik more than some people might expect. But I will still give my edge to Bublik because he is just peaking. He is peaking. You gotta admit that. And Khachanov is just playing solid tennis. Who is the better grass court player between Bublik and Khachanov? It is, of course, Bublik, who has won this title 2 years ago. But I don't think this will be such a super easy match for Bublik. So I will say that Bublik defeats Khachanov in 3 sets. And I think we will have a final between the second seed Alexander Zverev and the Kazakh Alexander Bublik. So Sasha will win the tournament. This is another interesting match. I believe Bublik also defeated Zverev actually in that 2023 Halle. Yeah, he defeated. So that was actually a fantastic run for Bublik in the 2023 Halle Open. He defeated Coric in the first round. Coric, who was a 7th seed at the time. He is washed now. Then he defeated Struff, who was decent back then, I think. Better than now when he is also completely washed. But Struff is not someone you wanted to face on grass. And also in his home in Germany. Then he defeated Sinner, who was the 4th seed by retirement, but he still defeated him. Then he defeated Zverev, who was the 9th seed at the time. I guess Zverev was so low because he was still coming back from that injury at the French Open the previous year. And then he defeated Zverev in the semifinal and Rublev in the final. So that was quite a fantastic run from Bublik 2 years ago in Halle. And I think he can defeat Zverev again. But actually I'm getting ahead of myself. I will predict that when the final comes, which I believe will be Zverev versus Bublik. So I think that Zverev defeats Medvedev in straight sets, and Bublik defeats Khachanov in 3 sets.